Good morning. Hope you had a good time yesterday. I'm going to talk about, and I'm going to have an introduction to Vue.js. And my name is Aulon. I work for Knowit ObjectNet, which is part of the Knowit solutions. I started here in August full-time and was part-time a year before that. Let's just go straight into it. Let's start with down the memory lane. It's created by Even Yu. He was a creative technologist at Google and was working for Google using AngularJS in a number of projects. And then he was also a core dev at Meteor. So he extracted the parts that he liked from AngularJS and built something lightweight without the extra concepts involved. When it comes to the Vue.js, initial release was in February 2014. It started as a one-man job, and it still is at some level. There are about 104 contributors in the project. And when you compare it to React, which is about over 1,000 contributors. He has a Patreon, which is where people donate him money every month so that he can work on Vue.js full-time, to not have some other job. And the latest release was in November, 2.59. And the core library, if you want the most lightweight one, it's about 17 kilobytes. So you can just import it in your script, in your header file. Let's view some more technical parts. It's inspired by the model view model, but not strictly associated with it. It's reactive because the models are just plain JavaScript objects, and when you modify them, the view updates. State management is made simple and intuitive because of this. And when you pass a plain JavaScript object to a Vue instance as its data option, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit, Vue will walk through all the properties and convert them to getters and setters. And then the users can see the getters and setters. Those are all behind the scenes. But under the hood, they enable Vue to perform dependency tracking and change notification when properties are accessed or modified. So every component has a corresponding watcher instance, which records properties touched during components render as dependencies, records any properties, and then renders them. So when a dependency setter is triggered, it notifies the watcher, which then triggers the re-render, so the component re-renders. This turns in some kind of a loop, which Vue made a auto-run loop, so that when the watcher gets the changes, it re-renders. This makes Vue faster than React, because Vue doesn't re-render the whole tree when one component and then child components doesn't re-render only the one component. Of course, this can be fixed in React by other optimizations and extra state management systems, but Vue has made this possible from the start. The Vue instance. So every Vue application starts by creating a Vue instance and pass its options objects. All the properties found in a data object are added to Vue's reactive system. And then when the values change, the Vue will react and update. It also runs some kinds of instant lifecycle hooks. And has anyone used React before? Yes. Yeah, okay. Most of you, yeah. Lifecycle hooks are basically should component update, will component update, those kinds of methods that only check the props that gets passed down and then updates if it needs to. And then I'm going to show how Vue starts from the start and then adds the lifecycle hooks during the initialization. So when you call the new Vue, it inits the events and lifecycles, and then all the red parts are lifecycle hooks. So you can add them to some kind of watchers that during the initialization, before create, then you can add new information and change it. And then it has it injects an reactivity. Then it has a new lifecycle hook. It checks if it has an element option, which element option is the one the view looks for in your HTML, so that it can add it and inject it. And then we can go down here. We have the checks if it has a template, and if it has, it makes a render function. And if it doesn't, it just compiles the outer HTML as a template. Then on the mounted, then everything is done. So it has the auto run loop, which checks everything before update, and if it's updated, then re-renders the virtual DOM. And in the end, if you want to destroy it, it has also a destroyed lifecycle hook. Let's just go right into the examples, so we can show you how it actually works. This on your left side, we have the HTML. You can see that it only the script option there, it imports the view. And then you have a div with an ID example. So we have here with the var VM, new VM, it initiates the view on an element. And the element option is, those are the options within the view instance here. Everything you add here, you can add methods, data, the element that you need, and other stuff that you want. Those are the options that makes the getters and setters during the initialization. So yeah, and then you have the mustache handlebars that you take the message from the var data and injects it into the H1. And in vanilla.js, so I can show you the difference between vanilla.js and Vue.js. If you have a const of items, an array with different information or strings, and then you have a function which makes a list of the array, and then you inject it to the div with an ID. The same thing can be done in Vue.js with only this. Then you have the element app, the data with the array of items with the strings, and then you inject it to the HTML Vue.js. And then you have a line that you have the list with the v4, which is a directive from Angular. And then you have you just write item in items, and then it gets displayed the same way. And directives, they are special attributes with the v dash prefix. They are expected to be single JavaScript expressions. And the directive's job is to reactively apply side effects to the virtual DOM when the value of its expression changes. So we have, as an example, the v4, which is a for loop. And then we have v-if, v-else if, or v-else for different kinds of expressions or if statements. And v-text is just a text, so it just displays information. But the thing is with the v-model, this is one of the other directives where it creates two-way data binding on form inputs and text area elements. And it automatically picks up the correct way to update the element based on the input type. This can be used almost on anything to create two-way data binding, such as checkboxes, radio boxes, components, or selects. And we have one example here, v-model message, and it just displays the message. So to show it how it actually works, you just have a text area and just write it, and it just automatically changes. So it's really powerful. And other directives we have are vtext, as I showed you. vshow toggles the display CSS property based on truthness expression. von is used to listen to DOM events, such as click events. So it adds event listeners to the element. And if it's used on a normal element, then it listens to the native DOM events only. But if it's used on custom element components, then you can add custom event listeners. v-once just re-renders the element once, doesn't do anything afterwards, even if you change the data that is in it. v-bind is to manipulate the element class list and its inline styles. And v-pre does doesn't do that much actually, but it can, if you want to make your site faster, you can skip the compilation for specific element and all its children. vcloak is just to hide elements or components. And then you can write your own if you want to, and then just add it to the Vue instance. We have methods. This is the method where we can use the von directive to listen to DOM events and run some JavaScript when it's triggered. So you have the von click, then you just add the expression inside the click, which is a method, which just says counter +1, and then it just counters up every time you click it. But you can also, the logic for many event handlers will be more complex, so keeping your JavaScript in the value of the von attribute isn't that feasible. So that's why on von you can also accept the name of a method you'd like to call. So here we have the von click again with the name greet. And then in your Vue instance, you can actually make a method, which is a greet function. And then you can have extremely complicated code if you want, so it's not a problem with Vue. But the thing is that you can't actually use ES6 within methods. So that's a problem right now. You can, but then it gets really complicated on how to write it, since you don't have this inside the ES6 syntax with Vue, of course. And to go to some more single file components, is a more advanced method on how to do it. You can actually, instead of just importing the Vue.js file in your header, you can actually make templates. And this is how you make a template. So the template is a Vue file is composed of a template on the top, and then you have the script in the middle and your style that is scoped on the end. So it's really easy to actually just make it compact. And people, backend developers, may say that it's easier to actually learn Vue because of the template options instead of JSX with React. Yeah. I'm coming back to why JSX and the difference between JSX and templates with Vue and React. So you can also import other components in your script file and then just write it in the template on the top. You can see the import other component, and then you just write it in your div. You actually have to say here in components that you want to use it. So for a more hands-on approach, how fast can we view an app? Vue.js has a Vue CLI, which is the same as React Create app. So you just use it as a CLI. I'm not going to actually run the Vue CLI here because I'm not really sure if the internet is fast enough. So I just took a picture of it. You just install with the npm package manager Vue CLI as global, and then you just run a Vue init webpack and your name of the project. So then you get different kind of options you have to go through. So first the project name, and then the description, the author, and how do you want to build it, standalone or lightweight. So standalone is with templating, while lightweight is without, so you have to actually write it in your HTML files, everything. And then Vue has a router, it's made of the creator, so they actually do all the core developers actually develop the Vue router instead of in React where there are contributors doing it. So when the Vue actually gets a new release, then the Vue router also gets a new release instantly. Then you can ask to set up unit tests, test runner, end-to-end test with Nightwatch. And then you get something like, let's see if I can show you. Okay. So you get everything. You get a node module, the building is there with Webpack. You can also skip Webpack with Vue. You don't have to use it. And let's see if we can, okay, this one, yeah. So these are the two different ones. We have React on the right side, React Create Tab on the right side, and the Vue.js, Vue CLI on the left. So you get everything you want. You get the router here, which is extremely easy to do routing in Vue.js. You just add routes with path, name, and component, and then it's done. They fix everything under the hood. And then you can also just add components. This is like the template here. You have everything. And then the script is in the middle. And then scoped one. So I can actually run it, I think. Let's see. npm. Okay, now just got to find out where is my Chrome. Localhost 888. So there. Looks really. You can just. There we go. And then you have everything you need. So it's really simple, and it has auto hot reloading, of course. So you can just go to the components. Wrong one, of course. Yeah, welcome to your JS. KDS2018. Save. Then it doesn't want to, actually. What? Did I save? Whoa. That's the first time.
But we got the idea, I think.
Damn, yeah. Okay. That's why I don't like the internet here. Let's see. Then we can go back, I think. Yeah. And the good thing with Vue, you also have the dev tools if you want. And it's really easy to actually, it shows a good way on how to look on your click events. I can also show that one. That actually works. Let's see the inspect the dev tools. Come back to Vue. So it looks like this. And it just doesn't show you all the HTML files like React does. And then you can just go in and you have everything you need. And you can change it actually here if you want. And it's done. And it has the Vuex store if you want. It's a Redux store for Vue.js. And it has events. So if you click anything, it just records everything. You can go back if you want to test anything. Let's see. Then, OK. So to just go through the Vue.js versus React, I'm not going to talk about that much about the differences, only to give you a nice list on the difference between those two, some small ones. I've tried both. I started with React, and I think I used like 2 or 3 weeks to understand it okay, because it's really, the learning curve is extremely steep, while with Vue.js I feel like it's easy because of the templating. So it's an easy start, while React is, I would say, a medium one. It has both have virtual DOM, so you don't actually do manipulations on the native DOM, because that does take time, and it's really slow. And Vue.js has templates. It also supports JSX if you want to, if you don't like templating, while React has JSX. And, well, with templating, it's easier because, as I said, backenders, if you want to learn Vue.js, then I would actually go with the templating style, because it's easier to actually, how do I say it? If you have some different templating front-end framework, then it's easy to actually change it to Vue.js, because it's not that many things you have to change because of the templating. So you can just take all the templating you had and then just put it in the templating file for Vue.js, and basically done. Except for the routing, of course, but that's something else. Both of them have state management. Vue.js has Vuex, which they actually develop themselves, while React uses Redux. They are basically the same. They work the same. And when it comes to native, I would say React has a better support for React Native. But some may say that that's turning because Vue.js has something called vuejs, which Alibaba in China is actually developing for Vue.js. And if nobody knows, Alibaba is one of the biggest companies in China when it comes to commerce and everything else. They're really big there. And when it comes to runtime performance, in React, as I said, when the component state changes, it triggers the re-render of the entire component subtree and all its children. And that is, well, some people often implement should component update to see if the props changes or not. So it does an update. That works, of course, while in Vue.js, the component dependencies that automatically track everything. So I would say it's faster on scaling, but basically the same on everything else. It's a preference, of course. I'm a full stacker, so I'm working with React, but I would love to actually implement Vue.js in my projects. But of course, most of the people in Oslo actually just develop in React because everyone knows it, and that's what you start with when you are a front-ender, especially here at Knowit Object in Oslo. So yeah, and here are some sites. You have Vue.js in GitHub. That's awesome Vue. It shows different kinds of other projects that use Vue.js. The documentation for Vue.js is the best one I've seen. It's extremely easy. Even you is an amazing guy that just knows how to teach everyone else on how Vue.js works. And then we have Sarah Drasner's workshop Intro to Vue, where she goes through the basics, and she's extremely good with animations in Vue.js because they have their own transition wrapper. So it's easy to implement. So yeah, that was everything. Thanks. Any questions first? No? Yeah.
So front-end is completely not my area, but
yeah.
I mean, this template thing, what would be, I mean, what's the downside of, I mean, since there are two different alternatives here, for me, from my perspective, it's more readable code, if you look at this template thing. The other thing is more cluttered with markup style elements. What would be the advantage of going for this more non-readable alternative if you...
For like a GSX kind of way?
Yeah.
I'm not really sure. For me personally, I'm just more used to it, because that's how React does it, and that's how you have to use it. You don't have to, but that's preferred. So I don't have any correct answer to it.
Yeah, but that's a good answer. So it's more biased because you've been working
Yeah.
this way since before,
Yeah.
rather than some technical advantage of some sort. Okay, thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else? No. Thank you.